The sun has set on this mortal world, fools. Make peace with your...
Gotta go fast, gotta go fast, gotta go faster, 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 faster.
What? What the fuck?
Gotta go fast, gotta go fast, gotta go faster, faster.
Hello everyone and welcome to Outriders New Horizon. In today's video I'm going to share with you the best firepower build you can run solo Eye of the Storm using the Technomancer class. A disclaimer before we start, this build is specifically designed only for Eye of the Storm. It's not the best for solo other expeditions because we don't take so much advantage of the talents and certain mods that do work better in the longer expeditions. And so, without any further delay, let's have a closer look at the build. Starting with our skills, Shrapnel, Cryo Turret and Blighted Rounds. Yes, this isn't the typical setup for a normal firepower Technomancer build. We're using these skills, Blighted Rounds of course, to maximize the damage from our weapons. Shrapnel and Cryo Turret are the utility tools. Because of the talents, this will increase our firepower, and Cryo Turret is only here to apply freeze. And this way we're going to use the best mods for the single target DPS for a weapon. So let's have a closer look at the armor and mods. We're using 3 pieces of the Borealis set, and we have to use the gloves, the legs, and any other piece. This way we will only have one dead mod, either the Icicle Storm or the Twins or the Sharp Eye. Either of those 3 cannot activate during the Yagak fight, and that's why we will have one dead mod. The 2 epic pieces must have bonus firepower, long range damage, and any other stat. I do recommend one of the 2 to have status power, so you have that 120%. I think 150% is a little overkill, but it's not bad. As long as you have bonus firepower, long range damage, and either status power, cooldown reduction could be okay, but you don't take advantage on Yagak because you're going for burst damage, so you can use either of those. Having a closer look at each individual item, we have to go with these following mods to maximize the single target DPS. Critical Analysis, Dum Bullets. Toxic Lead is only during the main fight when you fight expeditions. That's why the piece that has the Toxic Lead, you must have a duplicate because you need to change it before Yagak to maximize the single target DPS and replace it with Cricket Stack. Personally, I had the Robe of the Borealis and I do replace this before I fight Yagak. For the legs, I added the Euthanizer along with a freezing boost. I also had the Shatter and the Captain Hunter. And for the feet, I had the Kingslayer and Radical Therapy. As you can see, each mod will trigger during the Yagak fight, apart from one we have, which is the Icicle Storm. It is doable even if you leave the Toxic Lead alone, however the damage is a little lower. I just want to give you the option to maximize your single target DPS. Moving on to the Assault Rifles, we must use 2 different options, one during the whole expedition that will have the ultimate freezing bullets and an AoE mod. I found the Inferno Seed because I was unlucky with my drops and I didn't manage to find an epic piece that has critical damage, status power and long range damage, although you don't face so many enemies that needs AoE, so you can use, for example, a tactical assault rifle that has even Gravedigger's Frenzy or Anomaly Enchantment and add the ultimate freezing bullets to use it against the expedition. And we're going to have the boss killer. I tested the second mod because of course we're using the same stats, critical damage, status power, long range damage, and Dark Sacrifice will be the one, and the second is Gravedigger's Frenzy. Using this will maximize your single target DPS because I've tested this or the Anomaly Enchantment, and although this tactical AR has more firepower and Anomaly Enchantment, I did more damage using the Gravedigger's Frenzy. We don't care about the sidearm because we were never going to use it. We are going to use the primary weapon for the expedition and the boss killer because this way we have both Dark Sacrifice and the bonus from the Borealis set and everything else. And that's why, as you see, we use the Cryo Turret to apply freeze to Yagak and maintain it, because I have also tried to not use Cryo Turret and use Cold Snap, and freeze Yagak with ultimate freezing bullets, switch weapon and try to finish him off with Dark Sacrifice. And as you can see in the background, unfortunately the freezing doesn't last as long even with 120% status power I had at this point, and I just managed to die. Now these are our talents. We're focusing a lot on the Pestilence tree, we're taking the Exposing Toxin and the Mark for Execution to maximize single target DPS, we're taking the Purge and of course two sides of the power, and that's why we're using the Scrapnel, because activating the skill will give us a 30% weapon damage for 10 seconds. Now I know you wonder how we're going to activate Empower and Antenna. Many people have already guessed. While you activate Blighted Rounds for 10 seconds, you will get the 40% increased firepower. That's why we don't need to use the Blighted Turret. We need the burst damage, that 40% for 10 seconds, and another 30% for 10 seconds to burst down Yagak for this 5 to 6 seconds. I think you need 5, 6. I will just time it later to see how long you need to kill Yagak, and you will have both buffs activated. One change I could make now that I think about it, and I don't know if it's worth it to take with Anomaly Enchantment, to replace Nitrogen Capsules with Grand Amplification. This way we'll have some more Anomaly power and maybe Anomaly Enchantment hits harder. I have to try this and let you know. But in my opinion, this works quite well, and this is better when you face the normal enemies during the expeditions, because we only have long range damage, as you can see, and it's more than 100%, so double damage for long range, and we need to take benefit using that. So fighting Yagak and the whole expedition is actually quite easy. You don't need to change from the skill setup. This way you will have the Cryo Turret to just apply some freezing, especially against the one Jefferson Starship, which is the annoying flying things. You need to keep one alive during its pillar. This way no more enemies will spawn and you just have to hide behind the pillar until everything is dead. For the final pillar, before you face Yagak, in case you want to maximize your DPS and replace the piece that has the Toxic Lead with the one that has Grit Stack, you have to be aware that after a certain wave and before the pillar reaches this countdown from here, you have to kill all the enemies, open the menu and replace the armor. Once you do that, all your skills will go on cooldown, so you will lose the Blighted Rounds, and you cannot do it on the beginning of the level. I do recommend, in case you have trouble to do it in the last minute, kill the Behemoth that attacks you during the final pillar, which is the only challenging enemy in my opinion, and you can finish off all the other enemies without using even the Blighted Rounds. They are a joke. The Alphas and the Perfis are very easy to handle with the Borealis set and without the Blighted Rounds, and be ready to face Yagak. The rotation against Yagak is very simple. First, make sure you have the Boss Killer equipped, because we need that extra damage from the Dark Sacrifice. Use Shrapnel, Cryo Turret and Blighted Rounds to maximize your firepower. Apply Freeze to Yagak with Cryo Turret as soon as he's frozen, and you moved a little further to make sure you are in long range. Start the headshots and he will die in a matter of seconds. It's very easy, you don't have to be very precise. I did it in first try when I was using 2 Cryo Turrets for some reason after my specific build. And overall that's the point. We need to be able to burst him down as soon as possible. That's why we're not wasting some mods that require a build up. Because in other expeditions, for example, the Sharp Eye or Bloodlust are much better mods compared to others that we're using, especially against Grid Stack. However, when we face Yagak, these mods are useless because we cannot activate them. It's 1 versus 1 and we need to kill him before the rivers attack us. Otherwise, it will make things much more complicated. You will need to do elaborate tactics, but this way you just kill him before the big river spawn. And that was it for today's video. I really hope this will help you make your own variation to easily solo Eye of the Storm using your Technomancer. Thank you very much for watching, and an extra thank you in case you stick around until the end. Feel free to like, to subscribe, to stay tuned for more upcoming videos I do release throughout the week for Outriders New Horizon and other video games. And as always, I wish you all a wonderful day.